He was bent over his computer, staring at lines of code, when suddenly someone knocked on his door. He froze. Slowly, he stood up and opened it. Standing outside were FBI waiting for him. They arrested him. The FBI doesn't raid children, but they did. And why 9 years later, that same boy was dead? This isn't a hacker story. This is what happens when the system decides you're dangerous. Welcome, I'm Mr. Echovers. At just 6 years old, Jonathan touched his father's computer for the first time, only to play games. But the games didn't matter. What caught him was something far deeper, the hidden world behind the screen. Soon, games turned into hours of exploration. Jonathan didn't just want to use computers. He wanted to take them apart and understand how they worked. Curiosity led him everywhere. By day, he went to school. By night, he coded alone. He began teaching himself programming languages, especially C, spending countless hours experimenting, breaking things and fixing them again. At one point, Jonathan even replaced the Windows operating system on the family computer with Linux, just to test it, just to understand it better. As he entered his teenage years, that curiosity turned into obsession. He spent days and nights glued to his screen, sharpening his skills in C and Unix. Jonathan wasn't very social. He preferred solitude over crowds, with only a few close friends. His focus was laser-sharp on technology, often at the expense of his studies. His parents noticed the imbalance and took strict action. Jonathan was a kind of devastated. He took it as personal attack, like everyone is hating him. The stress pushed him to a breaking point. He decided ran away from home, refusing to return unless the computer was given back. When confronted, he argued that his grades proved no harm was being done. And he won. But here was the twist. Those excellent grades weren't real. Jonathan had hacked into his school's network and altered them himself. At around just 13 years old, while his classmates studied the traditional way, Jonathan had already carried out his first major intrusion. Soon after, he adopted an online alias. Comrade. Under that name, he began connecting with other hackers in online forums, sharing knowledge, learning faster, and leveling up. And this only continued. When Jonathan turned 15, he had already gained significant knowledge in coding and hacking. By that age, he had experienced hacking once before, breaking into his own educational institute system. But those small attempts no longer satisfied him. He wanted something bigger. Tired of minor intrusions, Jonathan began setting larger and more dangerous goals. He carried out a series of hacking attempts across various systems. This was the point where his real hacking journey truly began. His first major target was AT&T BellSouth.
AT&T is
AT&T.
Yeah, AT&T just revealed another security breach. Actually,
appears to be a major hack.
Alert: AT&T is reporting a major hack.
That massive AT&T
BellSouth was one of the largest telecommunications companies in the United States at the time. He hacked between June and October of 1999, when he was just 15 years old. The exact technical details of the hack are not completely known. However, he managed to gain access to the company's servers. Despite being a black hat hacker, he did not steal any information from the vast amounts of data available to him. He also caused no damage by leaking or destroying company data. Instead, Jonathan installed backdoors and sniffer programs inside the servers, without alerting anyone. He found this exciting and thrilling. But here is one thing to appreciate: he was so careful in his work that, according to research, BellSouth remained completely unaware of the 1999 breach. The company only learned about the hack later, when Jonathan confessed during the federal investigation following his arrest in January 2000. By June 1999, Jonathan wasn't hacking for access or fame anymore. He was scanning the internet for vulnerable servers, testing how high he could climb without falling. And eventually, he found something unusual: a vulnerable server located in Huntsville, Alabama. First, it didn't seem special, but as he dug deeper, he realized the truth. That server belonged to NASA. Once inside, Jonathan took control of 13 computers, all of which belonged to NASA. From within the system, he downloaded source code valued at approximately $1.7 million by NASA. This software controlled critical International Space Station functions, including temperature regulation, humidity control, and other vital life support systems. His opinion of the code itself was surprisingly dismissive. He later described it as poorly written, famously stating, Despite the severity of the breach, Jonathan caused no immediate harm and made no alterations to NASA's systems. He kept the stolen code private and did not leak or further exploit NASA. NASA, however, took the incident extremely seriously. NASA shut down its system for almost 21 days and maintenance cost almost around $41,000. He didn't cover his traces properly because he believed that his actions were harmless, but only NASA know how much it cost them. NASA informed FBI immediately after this intrusion, but we will come to this point later. Jonathan didn't stop. Instead, in September 1999, while scanning the internet again, he discovered an exposed server in Dulles, Virginia. Without hesitation, he connected and installed a sniffing program, silently capturing network traffic and login credentials. But this time the server belonged to the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, a critical unit of the U.S. Department of Defense. Jonathan quickly downloaded thousands of emails from Pentagon. This marked the first successful intrusion into the internal network of one of the Pentagon's external units. And by now, the FBI was no longer just observing. They were closing in. On January 26th, agents with bulletproof vests and guns raided his home and arrested him. They seized 4 PCs, a laptop, and 1 pocket computer from the house. By that time, James became famous in his school and everywhere on press and media. James was actively cooperating with the investigators and explained to them in detail how he was able to hack them. During the investigation, it was cleared out that James didn't run viruses, didn't delete files, or change passwords. He did not cause any damage in any of the compromised systems, and being only 16 years old at the time served him well on the day of the announcement of the verdict. If he were an adult, he could face at least 10 years in prison and a hefty fine. The court initially showed leniency toward James. Jonathan was sentenced to 6 months house arrest with 0 exposure to technology except for studies purpose. Later, Jonathan was found violating the rules and blood tests revealed that he had been using drugs. Eventually, he was then sentenced to 6 months in prison. James served the full sentence and was released after 6 months. He avoided the media and returned to his parents' home in Pinecrest, hoping to live an ordinary life. Sadly, that ordinary life did not last. In January 2007, James was arrested again, this time for a crime he had no involvement in. The case was known as the TJX data breach. The Secret Service was tracking a massive cybercrime operation led by Albert Gonzalez, responsible for stealing millions of credit card numbers from companies like TJX and Boston Market. So why was James arrested? Investigators believed an unknown hacker, collaborating with Gonzalez, used the pseudonym JJ. Those initials matched Jonathan James' name. Without delay, the Secret Service issued a warrant. In January 2007, agents raided James' home, as well as the homes of his brother and girlfriend, searching for evidence of his involvement in the breach. James insisted he was innocent throughout the investigation. Later, it was confirmed that the hacker known as JJ was actually Stephen Watts, who used the pseudonym Jim Jones. But by then, the damage had already been done. The raids triggered severe depression in James. He became anxious, withdrawn, and emotionally unstable following the renewed attention from federal authorities. On May 18, 2008, Jonathan James was found dead in the bathroom of his home. He had died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, using the same rifle discovered during the raid. The young hacker was gone. A suicide note was found near him along with his passwords to PayPal and several other accounts. The note wrote, "I do not believe in our justice system. Perhaps my actions today and this letter will be a serious signal to the public, but I have lost control of the situation, and this is my only way to fix it. To be honest, I have nothing to do with this whole TJX story. Even though Chris, Scott, and Albert Gonzalez are the most dangerous and destructive hackers the feds have ever caught, I am far more seductive as a victim to public opinion than these 2 random idiots. That is life. Remember, it's not that you win or lose, but that I personally win or lose by being in prison for 20, 10, or even 5 years for a crime that I didn't commit. This is my way of winning, but at least I'll die free." Jonathan died.